We're going to look at it. So foul there on Indiana, on Hull there. But then that is a technical.
That is a technical. Dead ball, contact technical.
It's a little surprising to see so many of these happen in one game because...
Oh, and I don't like the way Lexie Hull...
Do you remember the last matchup between the Minnesota Lynx and the Indiana Fever? Was that the moment Lexie Hull finally got her revenge on Kayla McBride? In their previous meeting, McBride's elbow caught Hull in the face, leading to a penalty. But this time, Hull had the perfect response, delivering a standout performance in the Fever's commanding win over Minnesota, leaving fans stunned. This wasn't just a highlight-worthy play, it was personal redemption and a symbol of Indiana's resilience. Could this moment define the Fever's late-season surge and playoff push? Share your thoughts and show some love for Lexie in the comments below.
Final score, Fever 83, Lynx 72. Indiana ends the regular season with an exclamation point. Fever have won 3 in a row as they enter the playoff.
How does a team truly survive when nearly half its rotation is wiped out? The Indiana Fever had to learn the hard way. One by one, players were added to the injury report. Caitlyn Clark sidelined with a groin injury. Sophie Cunningham out with an MCL tear. Sydney Colson lost to an ACL tear. Chloe BBY's knee gave out. Ari McDonald sidelined with a fractured foot. That list alone could form a strong starting lineup, but instead, they were all suddenly stuck in street clothes. Combined, their absence left Indiana with one of the league's thinnest rosters, and no amount of preseason preparation could have braced the Fever for a collapse of that magnitude.
I know a lot of people will talk about Nafisa not playing, but I think they're really good without her. You know, they're just a really great basketball team. So I think it was a big win for us because they set the bar high standard-wise. We know what to expect when it comes to Minnesota Lynx, and so I think going into the playoffs, it was big for us because being able to know guarding Courtney Williams, knowing that her thing is a pull-up, knowing that now instead of not knowing that, it's big for us because we give ourselves a chance, and if they are the standard, we get to see where we are.
Then came the breaking news: Caitlyn Clark's season was officially over. What was once brushed off as a nagging groin issue was now permanently etched onto the injury report. Her rookie year was supposed to propel the Fever onto the national stage, but instead of a playoff debut, it ended with a press release. For a team that leans on her energy to push through adversity, the blow was devastating. And it wasn't just the roster that felt it. The fan base, from Indiana to Iowa, took the hit emotionally. Clark wasn't only selling tickets. She was the heartbeat of the season. Her absence became the clearest sign yet that the Fever's playoff dreams could vanish in an instant.
Yeah, one of the things that I've been impressed with these guys since even the offseason, really the ones that I was able to work out with in the offseason, is how hard they work. There's a work ethic and there's a work style. And to approach everything in the same way, to be so energetic, enthusiastic, and dedicated every day. And I felt that way in training camp too. There weren't any days where I had to bring that out of them. So I think it's the nature of the women that we brought into this organization to continue to just bust their butts and play hard.
Then came the breaking news: Caitlyn Clark's season was officially over. What was once brushed off as a nagging groin issue was now permanently etched onto the injury report. Her rookie year was supposed to propel the Fever onto the national stage, but instead of a playoff debut, it ended with a press release. For a team that leans on her energy to push through adversity, the blow was devastating. And it wasn't just the roster that felt it. The fan base, from Indiana to Iowa, took the hit emotionally. Clark wasn't only selling tickets. She was the heartbeat of the season. Her absence became the clearest sign yet that the Fever's playoff dreams could vanish in an instant.
Kind of all the other things like offensive rebounding that she can do.
Knocked away. Boston comes up with a steal. Here is Mitchell veering through the paint and lays it in.
She's so quick, and especially when she gets out in the open floor, you'll see her coming down. The quick left to right crossover just gets by. thought she was sprinting. I didn't think she was lumbering.
It was a lumber
Stand up
sprint.
for the big girl.
Mitchell like a blur. That's a
Boston handled the other side of that responsibility. Averaging 15 points and over 8 rebounds across her last 10 games takes more than effort. It shows consistency. She became Indiana's anchor in a season plagued by injuries. Her presence on the glass, ability to extend possessions, and toughness against bigger forwards made her the team's safety net. No matter how chaotic the lineups got, Boston was the steady force in the middle. She even set a new franchise record for rebounds in a single season. And that stability was priceless. It kept the Fever's defense from completely unraveling.
Only 8 teams have ever done that. 7 of them went on to win the title. As Boston gets free and lays it in.
She will be on my first team.
Boston in the paint, sneaks through 2 and lays it in.
With everything that had gone wrong, making the playoffs should have been out of the question. Logically, the answer was no. But that's not where the story ended. Instead of folding, the Fever turned every setback into motivation. Bad calls, constant lineup shuffles, and mounting frustration all became fuel. Players who were originally signed just to fill roster spots started producing night after night. Emergency pickups were putting up double figures. Bench players stepped in and embraced bigger roles with pride.
Fever done with the MVP, okay? Bow, bow, bow! Hell yeah. You already know what it is. Dubs in the shake, you already know what it is. You already know what it is. Let's go to the playoffs with some momentum, baby.
The turning point was undeniable. What once looked like a season-crippling wave of injuries became the Fever's rallying cry. That shift in perspective changed not only how they played, but also how fans viewed them. By the time the Minnesota Lynx rolled in, the storyline wasn't about who was missing. It was about grit, resilience, and how that fight paved the way for one of the season's most meaningful wins. So why did this victory over Minnesota feel bigger than just another game? Because it was. Indiana wasn't just closing out the year. They were facing the team that had been considered the league's best all season, sitting at the top of the standings. And this wasn't about pride alone, it was about survival in the playoff chase. Even with a postseason spot technically secured, the Fever still had everything to play for. A higher seed meant better matchups, a real chance to make noise, and proof they belonged at the grown-up table of playoff basketball. And when the moment came, Indiana didn't blink.
Before the playoffs start Sunday tonight, it's regular season game 44 of 44 for the Fever as they host the WNBA's best team in 2025, the Minnesota Lynx.
The turning point was clear. Instead of seeing their injuries as a death sentence, the Fever turned them into a rallying cry. That shift in mindset transformed both their style of play and the way fans saw them. By the time the Minnesota Lynx came around, the storyline was no longer about who was missing. It was about the grit and determination that set the stage for one of the season's most emotional wins. Why did that victory over Minnesota feel like more than just another game? Because it was. Indiana wasn't simply closing out a season, they were making a statement.
It'll be Alana Smith jumping it up against Aaliyah Boston. The ball is tipped, and it's time to hoop at Indy.
A 10-0 run to start this game for Indiana, and Minnesota wants a timeout.
Powers up top, tees it up, 3. It's good! Energy!
Kicks it out, Powers. You bet! Back-to-back threes from Aerial Powers.
The Fever double up the Lynx in the first quarter. It's Indiana 28, Minnesota 14.